Eesti elanikud on autousku ja ühistranspordist me eriti lugu ei pea, Jalgrattast rääkimata. Iga päev sõidab autoga kodust tööle ja tagasi lausa 58% eestlastest. Hajaasutusega riigis on selline valik mõistetav, ent kui vaadelda ainult Tallinnat, siis pealinnas võiks need numbrid olla sootuks teistsugused. Oma autoga käivad tööl pooled tallinlased. Kuigi ühistransport on tasuta, kasutab seda töö ja kodu vahel liikumiseks vaid 29% linnaelanikest. Jalgrattast, tõukeratast või mootorratast eelistab ainult 3% ehk marginaalselt väike osa. See pole aga alati nii olnud. 20 aastat tagasi kasutas ühistransporti 51% Tallinna elanikest ja autoga käis tööl vaid 29%. Paarikümne aastaga toimunud muutus on linnapildis valusalt kogetav. Rohegeenius kutsus vestlusringi rahvusvahelise haardega Hollandi linnaplaneerija Lior Steinbergi ja Bolti kaasasutaja Martin Villigu, et arutada, mis on Tallinna elukeskkonna halvenemise põhjustanud ja mida selle parandamiseks teha saab. Tallinna praegustes probleemides ei saa süüdistada ainult lähiminevikus tehtud või tegemata jäetud linnaplaneerimise otsuseid. Tallinn on keskaegne linn, mille keskus on kujunenud mitmesaja aasta jooksul. Keskust ümbritsevad linnaosad ja ühendusteed on aga ehitatud hoopis teisi mastaape, elanike ja autode arvu arvestades.
So historically, if we look at Tallinn, the city center is very dense. The streets are very narrow, perfect for walking, maybe a little bit of cycling. And then if we look at Tallinn and going outside of the city center, you see this more modernistic, many times influenced by communism kind of architecture. And what we see there is that it's very car-centric. But we can also use the benefits of this layout. So, for instance, you have a lot of green areas in those neighborhoods. It means that while other cities around the world are struggling with providing green, those Tallinn neighborhoods already have a lot of green. You maybe not appreciate it because you're used to it, but it's something that Tallinn has quite a lot. And then you have also all those big roads that lead you to the city, which is also a modernistic idea. This means that we also have a lot of space. A lot of older cities don't have this
good
space
for redesign.
Exactly. We can introduce very easily bike infrastructure. You don't need to build everything from new. We can introduce proper buses that run straight and to the city. And other cities will not have this possibility. So we just need to look on the structure and see the advantages. And
So you see good opportunities with the current kind of Tallinn city planning?
Absolutely.
Okupatsiooniajastu pole mõjutanud ainult Tallinna taristu kujunemist. Samasuguseid suuri paneelmajadega linnaosi ehitati ka mujal Ida-Euroopas.
Also in the western part of Europe, a lot of the neighborhoods were built with those big housing flats with a lot of green around them. And you can see that also the Netherlands has been struggling with this kind of outdated planning, but they are repurposing the streets and the buildings there.
Ajalooliselt välja kujunenud, kuid praegustele vajadustele enam mitte vastav linnaruum on linnas autoga liiklejale ebamugav. See seab piiranguid ka Bolti teenustele, kuid samal ajal on sõidujagamine ja renditeenus üks probleemi lahendus.
Definitely. I would say that it probably also helps for us to explain to people why different modes of transportation are useful. So often in city centers, in Tallinn as well, there is a big park in the city center and small streets around it. So if you try to take a taxi from, let's say, one part of that park and go to the port, it takes you many small streets, different crossings. If you would take a bike or a walk through the park, you probably reach your destination much faster than with a car. So explaining and showing these kind of benefits and various opportunities, I think that is very, very helpful. And yeah, I see that especially with Bolt Drive as well, people are asking if we are bringing more cars to the city, but actually we put the city moving more because private cars are often, you drive to the office, you park the car on the street, it stands there 8 hours and then you drive back home. But the shared transportation is constantly moving and it helps during the same day to move around 6, 7 or 10 people not just the one single person. So these kind of things are something that we try to show why we maybe don't need so much parking spots in the cities, why we could use these parking spots for bikes, scooters, maybe even put some greenery in there, and so different aspects like that, just to change, kind of open the eyes of the citizens and also the people who plan the city. So.
Nii nagu Tallinn on üks pika ajalooga ja varasematest aegadest mõjutatud linn Helsingi. Martin Villigu sõnul on soomlased oma pealinna ajaloolise planeeringu ja praegused vajadused paremini ühildanud kui meie Tallinnas.
Yeah, if we try to compare Tallinn and Helsingi, then I would say if you drive with a car, probably the experience is quite similar. But if you try to use other transportation methods, then if you step out of the boat going from Tallinn, the tram is right away in front of the terminal. Bike lines start right away from there. So I would say that there is quite a significant difference in terms of what transport method you have between Tallinn and Helsingi. So Helsingi has invested a lot in bike lines. Often they are secure, separated from the car lines, and yeah, in Tallinn we are still doing the first steps, and the bike lines are often on the sides of a fast like main streets where cars are going fast. So yeah, I would say that Helsingi probably have started a few tens of years ago to build the infrastructure. Tallinn has done that over the last 3 years maybe. So yeah, I think that's cities realize the opportunities probably in different times, and then the more Western or Nordic cities have understood the opportunities and benefits of using other methods besides car earlier than now the Baltics are reaching. So.
Eestiga võrreldes on Soome rikas riik. Vana linnaruumi ümberehitamine praegustele vajadustele vastavaks nõuaks Tallinna-suguses linnas tohutuid investeeringuid. Lior Steinberg ütleb, et kui raha on vähe, tuleb seda kasutada targalt.
Building another road costs 10 to 100 times more than building proper bike infrastructure. If you think that also people are not super rich and cannot afford always to use a car, you need to provide them cheaper ways to move around, public transportation, shared mobility, cycling and walking. So I think that if the standpoint of politicians would be we don't have enough money to invest, actually the real answer is you have enough money because you are able to build roads. You just need to shift this money differently and service much more people. And also offer them more cheaper way of living. I mean, I live in a rather rich country, the Netherlands, but I hardly spend any money on mobility because I go everywhere with a bicycle. I paid €300 one time and that's it.
I agree that I bought a bike 5 years ago which cost €230 and I've been driving with it 5 years. A bit of maintenance every year, but it works. So I agree that it's probably most people can afford that, and if their distances to work or school is between, let's say, 2 to 6 kilometers, then majority of the year you could use bike or public transport to get around. So you don't need cars or for your daily commute.
And it's also it made me thinking that actually if you want to grow your economy, you better invest in this kind of mobility because bikeable, walkable places are developing economically much faster. People are shopping in local stores, which is really important for the local economy. You have all those creative startups and people that want to move to those places to develop them more. So it's actually also the right way to go.
And I would say even the other angle is that you would meet people on the street. When you go with a car, you often might know that, okay, that's my friend's car, and that happens rarely, but if you walk or bike and you bump into someone, you can have a chat. It helps you to maintain better relationships, better emotions, and overall the kind of mental health is really becoming a bigger and bigger issue and also the cost for the society. So we could kind of calculate both sides of the investment on infrastructure, direct cost to people, but also the cost for society to handle all the kind of related problems. So that is massive, and the bigger the cities, these costs can be billions and billions. So I read that in Paris it's maybe 5 billion a year related to that. If you would invest 10% of that into infrastructure, the return on investment could be like significant. The same goes for Tallinn and other cities. So we have to look at these angles as well.
Sõidujagamisteenused on aidanud Tallinnas vähendada igapäevaselt liikluses osalevate eraautode hulka. Teenuste kasutamise statistika näitab, milliseid teekondi inimesed kasutavad ja kui pikad need on.
We see that scooters are often used in city centers to get, usually people even come with a city center with a bus or a car, and then for smaller trips, 1 to 3 kilometers, they use bikes or Bolt scooters to get around because it's just faster, cheaper. If we look at the suburb areas, then we see that also people are using, if the suburb has a good kind of planning, so there are ways to go, then people use scooters also in the suburbs to get around to different spots. If we look at taxis, then the average taxi ride is 6 to 7 kilometers in Tallinn, and the Bolt Drive, which is then the shared cars, the average ride there is 12 kilometers, and it's often as well people go from one suburb to another, close to the office areas or to the city center and so on. So yeah, in the evenings cars get spread out to the suburbs, and in the mornings often then back to the office or city center areas. So yeah, Bolt Drive very clearly shows how the waves of transportation happen in the city. So yeah.
Üks põhjus, miks väga paljud inimesed ei vali Tallinnas liikumiseks auto tasemel ühistransporti, on eri transpordiliikide halb ühilduvus. Sama tähtis on ka see, kuidas jõuda ühistranspordi alguspunkti või lõpppeatusest edasi soovitud paika.
Yeah, you can see it in the Netherlands. A lot of people are using the train between cities. That's amazing, but they need to get to the train station. Mm-hmm. So 60% of all train rides start with a bike ride. Mm-hmm. Whenever I get a train, I first cycle, then I take the train, and then at the edge, I take a shared mobility option. Mm-hmm. And as you said before, it has to be holistic.
If I commute the same route every day to the office, is it common that people have two bikes?
Yeah.
One is at home and one is in the city center?
Yeah, one at home, one at the city center, and we are calling them, it's those bikes that actually take the most space in the train station parking, because people just have it there for the entire weekend and it's not moving. Okay. And normally it will be also a worse bike because people don't want to put their nice bike there. Mm-hmm. But now the train services offers also shared bikes because they want to avoid it.
Hollandis on lihtsam, aga Eesti kliima ja halva taristu tõttu ei ole jalgrattasõit alati kõige mugavam liikumismoodus. Sobivate tingimuste korral on aga rattaga liiklemisel autosõidu ees mitu eelist.
Because I think the benefits of using bike, my experience in Tallinn, is that throughout the year, going from my home to the office is the same time, and going from here to the meeting in Telliskivi, it's exactly the same time. If I go with a car, sometimes it can be 7 minutes, sometimes it can be 37 minutes. So in that sense, if you have like safe and well-maintained bike infrastructure, you can always know how far or how long that trip will take you. And but with a car, it's always unknown.
It's a bet always.
Exactly.
You know, in the Netherlands, they started now. Until recently, people would cycle 5 kilometers if they're like not so sporty, like, or maybe 10 kilometers. Mm-hmm. But now with the e-bike, people can go 20, 25, 30 quite easily. So now they're building those big bicycle highways.
Even far out to the suburb.
Yeah, so it connects the villages and the suburbs. And it's definitely faster than the car because you can go with an e-bike 30 kilometers per hour non-stop. Those highways are they don't have traffic lights because they go under the highways or with the bridges. They cost much less than another highway for a car, but their capacity to move much more people is higher. And in the past, people were very afraid because they said, yeah, we will need to cycle so much and then we need to take a shower at the office. But now with the e-bike, you come completely fresh. You know exactly how long it will take you. So this is also a trend in Germany, in the Netherlands that is growing.
Lior Steinbergi sõnul aitab sõidujagamisteenus linna liikluskoormust märgatavalt vähendada ja vabastab avalikku ruumi.
It's estimated, and of course in every country is a bit different, that one shared mobility car offered can reduce up to the need of 6 to 10 cars. A car space takes around 12 square meter from road, public road. It's a 5 on 2.5. That's more or less the size. Make the calculation. It's a lot of space. I mean, if you remove 100 parking spaces from the neighborhood, you can have a small playground. If you move 200, you can have a park in your neighborhood. So it's not little. It's quite a lot.
Bolti statistika ja kliendiuuringud näitavad, et sõidujagamine on isikliku auto kasutamist tõhusalt vähendanud.
So 60% who have said that they've sold their car, they did it because they felt that Bolt Drive offers them the mobility needs when they need it. And also 10% of scooter users have said that they would have otherwise taken a car, but now scooters have helped them to take that trip, and again less cars in the cities. So step by step we are moving towards reducing the needs of taking trips with private cars.
Martin Villig ja Lior Steinberg ei istu ja mängi sõidukitega niisama linnakeskkonda kujutaval värvilisel vaibal. See on Bolti ja Steinbergi koostöös valminud uudne laste liiklusvaip. Samalaadsetel vaipadel on eri riikide lapsed mänginud pea pool sajandit, kuid nüüdseks on need ikoonilised mänguvaibad iganenud. Need kujutasid linna, kus domineerisid autoteed ja parklad, jättes tähelepanuta kergliiklejad. Lior Steinberg võttis eeskujuks parimat näited 5 Euroopa linnast, kus elukeskkond on elamist väärt. 6 ruutmeetrisel vaibal on kujutatud jalgratta ja jalakäijate teed, mänguväljakud, pargid ja vabaõhukohvikud. Lapsed saavad vaibal mängida mitte ainult automudelitega, vaid ka tõukerataste, jalgrataste, trammide ja rongidega. Kõigile tootjaile, kes soovivad seesugust uudset liiklusvaipa valmistada, on vaiba kujundus ja tehnilised andmed tasuta saadaval. Steinberg ja Bolt loodavad, et sel moel hakkavad lapsed väärtustama peale auto rohkem muid liiklusvahendeid, mis koormavad vähem linnaruumi ja on keskkonnasõbralikud.
Yeah, so what you see here basically is a human-friendly version of the famous children carpet that normally is called car carpet, where children basically all around the world are playing with, and they get used to the fact that you get around the city with a car. But we want to show children that a city is not only about roads, it's about livelier, greener streets where you can cycle, walk in, maybe sometimes use the car. And the idea is that not all streets look the same. You have some streets that are only for pedestrians, some streets that are more for commuting with a car or the bike, and some living streets. So you see all those different details of what makes a city really great.
I've seen that in shops you can buy models of like cars and maybe minivans and some trucks, but have you seen shops selling like mini scooters or bikes or, I don't know, courier vans, some kind of tuk-tuk type of things?
That's so sad. I mean, we are pushing to children when they are young how cool the car is, and then when they grow up they just want to buy a car. That's their dream. But we can really change this discussion if we start introducing those in.
Yeah, I mean nowadays probably smaller children are already looking that okay, older brother is driving with a scooter or a bike, so that maybe I could practice as well. So yeah, good idea to add new products to the kids' shops.
Yeah, so in my opinion, a good city is not monotonous. Every part of the city is different because we want to provide to different types of people different options. You have the people who love to live in those mid-rise, dense neighborhoods, and some others who like to live in a high-rise, cool, cool buildings, and more the outside the city, the more low rise. And a good city should provide all those opportunities to everybody. But you also see that you have mixed use, so you can work in the city. I mean, having your office and work in the city, your school in the city, means that you can actually walk and cycle there. And if we look at all those great cities around the world, they always look something like that and not just all the same. Yeah, so I think that the main thing is that not all streets are born equal. If you look at the car carpet, all the streets look the same. This is a typical American city where all streets are wide, no matter if it's a main street or a shopping street or a residential street. But here you see that the street fits to the needs of the neighborhood of the people. If you go to the residential streets, they are very narrow, they are not straight, it's where children can just play and feel safe. But then if you go more to the city center, you have the main roads with the tram lines, with proper bicycle infrastructure. And I think that's the main difference. You can get lost in different parts of the carpet, like you can get lost in different parts of a city. And with the car carpet, it's just all the same, no matter where you go.